السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا وحبيبنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Today we are supposed to discuss an issue that normally it's a very, very emotional issue that rises twice a year, and everyone gets so emotional about it, and then we forget altogether about this issue for the rest of the year, which is the issue of moon sighting. For some reason, this became more emotional than religious issue. And as soon as this topic comes up, you see people's emotions getting very, very high, and no one is willing to listen to anything about it. The only thing people want in this situation is that my way or highway. Whatever I'm saying, this is what has to be done, and this is the only way it can be done. There is no other way. And every other way is wrong. And then why my way is better? Because my way will bring unity. And then we will talk about the importance of unity. And then you will find the same people that are advocating unity on the basis of moon sighting. They are so emotional, so furious. They are ready to fight with anyone. They are already cursing people, backbiting people. They're fighting with people on the basis of wanting to bring unity in the ummah. If someone will record this person at that time, and later on will show him that can this attitude ever bring a unity in the ummah? So the thing that we are trying to bring, we are destroying it ourselves. If we want to bring unity, unity was never brought in the ummah by these emotions and fightings and cursing and putting people down. And as I said, for some reason, it became more of a emotional issue than a religious issue. In fact, it's more of a personal issue, that this is the only way we are going to have this issue resolved, that people follow what I'm telling them. But this year, I think the situation is going to be a little different. Because of the lockdown, everyone is staying home, and maybe because of this, a lot of those who are not willing to talk about this issue, listen to this issue, will be willing to discuss, understand, and look into this issue from the academic point of view and religious point of view. So, anyway, very quick overview of this topic, which is not really the topic of how to celebrate Eid in Islam. Rather, it's a topic of how to start and end a month in Islam. And we don't have only 2 months in Islam, we have 12 months in Islam. So, whatever conclusion we would come to, it will not be for 2 months, it will be for the 12 months. And it will not happen only for Ramadan and Eid al-Adha. It will has to be followed throughout the year for the 12 months of the year. This is very important to remember. Moving forward, when we discuss the issue of moon sighting, some of you will recall that as soon as this issue comes up, the first thing people will say, oh, we need to unite people. We need to bring unity in the ummah. And this is where the issue starts from, which is totally wrong. It's supposed to start with what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say about this issue? Because it's a religious issue. It's something that we have to follow our deen about it. So, what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say about this issue? I attended a lot of seminars, conferences, meetings on this issue throughout North America. Had and heard a lot of discussions. But I was so surprised in most of these gatherings and meetings when I asked people to write the hadith or quote the hadith that they are basing their opinion on, they totally failed. And they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to talk about it. And the only thing you would hear, brother, we need to be united. No one says we don't want to be united and we don't want to be united. Everyone wants unity. But unity on what? Unity on shari'ah or unity on something that is outside of shari'ah? If it is unity on shari'ah, on deen, on Islam, on the teachings of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then of course this is where we would start from. Then let's see what Quran says about it and what do the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say about this issue. This is where we would start from. As I said, many times people are coming with very strong opinion when we ask them about a hadith and about any reference from the Quran and Sunnah on what they're saying. They couldn't say nothing about it. They had no clue of what a hadith say about this topic. So let's start very quickly. As I said, we will be just touching bases on this topic without going into too much detail. What do the hadith say about it? Number one, let's start with Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran tells us, Ash-shamsu wal-qamaru bihusban. The sun and moon are for spatial calculation, which means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the sun and moon to calculate our times with it. How to calculate the timings? We see Islamically, all of our prayers are based on sun and the movement of the sun, and all of our months are based on the movement of the moon, which is the lunar months. Nothing wrong, which means following the solar year is not against the Sharia, but Sharia is not based on solar months, it's based on lunar months. Now, first thing, keep these two things in mind. One is all the prayers are based on the movement of the sun. Number two, all the months are based on the movement of the moon, not the sun. So totally two different things. Next step. When it comes to the months, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us based on the lunar months, a month will only be 29 days or 30 days. There is nothing less than 29 days. There is no month more than 30 days. We know in the solar year, we have 31 days also. So it can be more than 30 days when it comes to the solar years. But when it comes to the lunar months, it cannot be more than 30 days, 29 or 30 days. So here, let's agree on 2 points. Number one, the Islamic months are based on lunar months, not the solar months. So all the Islamic rulings are based on lunar months. So zakat becomes fard based on lunar months, not on the solar months. And same thing with our Hajj, Ramadan, and all the other ibadat. And this is number one. Number two, the lunar month cannot be more than 30 days and less than 29 days. That's something agreed upon and very, very clearly stated in the hadith. Next step. How do we determine the beginning and end of the month according to the shari'ah, according to the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in many ahadith that our month is based on sighting the moon. Our month is based on sighting the moon. There are two different things. One is the birth of the moon. The other is sighting the moon. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that lunar month that we follow in our sharia is based on sighting the moon, not on the birth of the moon. So when moon is sighted, this is when we say now the previous month have ended and the new month have started. These are basic rules that we are establishing right now, and we have to remember these rules in order to understand the issue fully from the Sharia point of view. So the lunar month are based, so Sharia months are based on lunar months, not solar, and they are based on the birth of the moon, on the sighting of the moon, not the birth of the moon. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also discussed the issue of calculation, because during the time, see, for some reason, many of the new technology that we have, for some reason, many of us, we feel that this is something new and it wasn't available during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is not correct. Most of these things were there during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even though they had a different form and shape and look to it, or little different information about it, but the thing itself existed at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Through the books of hadith, we see that the Jews at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, see, Yahud, they follow the lunar month, not the solar month. But during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to start and end the month based on calculations, not sighting of the moon. This is something that we need to remember, that the Jews during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to base their calendar on the birth of the moon based on calculation, not on sighting of the moon. So when this thing was presented to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna ummatun ummiyah, la naktubu wa la nahsub." We are illiterate people. We don't calculate. We are not going to go by those calculations. We will ashharu hakada wa hakada wa hakada. Month will be 29 days or 30 days. That's all. فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَاقْدِرُوا لَهُ. And if there is cloud, if it is cloudy, you cannot see it, then you go by what you see, not what you calculate. Very, very clearly mentioned in the hadith, which is in the Sahih and in the Sunan. So very authentic hadith, no doubt about it. Listen, some of these hadiths are such that some of us will be shocked to hear these hadiths, and whereas we may be discussing these issues for so many years, but these hadiths are never brought up for some reason. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam very, very clearly said, we don't go by calculation. And he said it not for to tell us that, we don't agree with it, we don't accept it, or it's wrong. What he's telling us is, for our shari'ah base, for the shari'ah based rulings, we will not go by those calculations. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us we will go by sighting of the moon. Now, what method are we going to follow? In today's time, when there is a lot of discussion about when to start and end the month based on the lunar month and based on moon sighting, different methods come up. Some people are saying that we will go by calculations, and according to the calculations, if the moon is on the horizon, we are going to just take it as if it is there, and we will start the month based on that. Number two, some people say we will go by the sighting of the moon. Then there are two different methods in that also. One is we will go by the sighting of the moon internationally. That if moon is sighting anywhere in the world, we will accept it. Some others say we will accept it only if it is sighted locally. So we will accept only local moon sighting, not international. And others say, no, we will accept the international moon sighting. Then a third opinion comes out of this, that we will accept the moon sighting internationally, but it's not really international. It is called international because we will accept only such and such country. Mostly, we will take it from Saudi Arabia only. And I have seen people from Turkey, they say we will accept it if it is only from Turkey. And then on the basis of this, I have seen people from Yemen saying that we will accept the moon sighting of Yemen only. So international, but what does international mean to them? It's specifying one or two countries that we will accept the sighting of those countries only. This is just like international airport. Windsor Airport is international airport because there may be a flight going to states from here. So flying across the border, and that makes the airport international. If someone would hear it and someone may read about it that in Windsor we have a international airport, may think that we have flights going all around the world from here. And if you go deeper into it, you will find out that it's only flying across the old border from here to Detroit and to Buffalo, maybe. So that makes it international, that one flight goes a week on the other side across the border. So this is how some people will take the moon sighting internationally also, that they will specify one country that we will take it only from this country. Now let's quickly analyze these different methods. As I said, this is in this year I'm very, very at ease talking about this issue, because those emotions are most probably aside. We are not getting together. We don't have time to meet in the masjid and fight with each other. So everyone is cooled down, and we are. I mean, we are open to hear and to discuss these issues with good mood, without getting too emotional about it. So anyway, let's quickly analyze these different methods in the light of the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When it comes to the calculation, as I said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam very clearly said that inna ummatun ummiyya, we are illiterate people, we don't go by calculations. He didn't say it to tell us that we are not going to be educated, we are not going to learn anything, but he told us this is specifically about the beginning and the end of the month, that we are not going to base it on the calculations, we are going to base it on the sighting, on the physical sighting of the moon. Up to this day, when we go by calculations, calculations can never tell you when the moon is going to be sighted. Remember this. You all can search for this, ask the scientist about it. I met personally, also met some people that were specialists in the field, and when we discuss this, they all tell us the same thing, that we cannot determine the time of the visibility of the moon. We can tell you the birth of the moon. We will tell you if it is on the horizon or not. But can you see it with your naked eyes? We may predict, but we can't guarantee. We may predict, but we cannot guarantee. But most of the time, when this moon is born and is on the horizon, it may not be visible. Remember this. For example, if the moon is on the horizon, it could be sometime 30 hours old. The moon is 30 hours old, and still you cannot see it, based on the clarity of the horizon or the distance between the sun and the moon. If the moon is not too far from the sun, then the sunlight is affecting the visibility of the moon, so you cannot see it. So there are a lot of factors that will play the role in if the moon is visible or not. As I said, scientists will tell us it is there. With our telescopes, we can show it to you. We can take you in the aeroplane and show it to you. But can you see it with your naked eyes standing on the ground? Most probably not in the situation that it is in at that time. Okay. Now, and on the other hand, sometimes the moon could be 18 hours old and you see it. The moon is 18 hours old. But what does 18-hour old means? It was born early morning, and then after the sunset, it stays on the horizon for 1 hour. So say when the sun was set, the moon, according to the calculation, moon's age was 17 hours. So it's going to stay there for 1 more hour. So you have 1 hour to sight the moon. But if the moon was born last night at the time of Maghrib, today at Maghrib, the moon's age is how much? 24 hours. But maybe it's going to set at the same time as the sun is going to set. So after sunset, the moon is not on the horizon at all. It's 24 hours old, but it's not on the horizon. So you cannot see it, and you will see it only after sunset. It's too tiny to see it before the sunset. It doesn't have a shine to it. So you don't see it before the sunset. So you need enough time after the sunset for it to get darker. And then the moon has to be there for us to see it. And it has to be big enough that we can see it with the naked eyes. So anyway, a lot of factors in, is it going to be visible or not? So it's not only one or two things that we have to keep in mind. Anyway, so when it comes to calculations, if you analyze people that are going by calculation, they are going by the birth of the moon. What does that mean? Today, if our Maghrib is 8 o'clock, just so that we understand the point, if the Maghrib is 8 o'clock, sunset is 8 o'clock, and according to the calculation, moon is going to set at 8:02, 2 minutes after 8 o'clock, 2 minutes after sunset. They will say our next month have started because the moon is on the horizon according to the calculation. We know for sure, if you look into the hadith, this is not acceptable whatsoever according to the Sharia, because the moon will set only 2 minutes after the sunset and is not going to be visible for sure. But those who go by calculation, their understanding is that it has to be there on the horizon after the sunset. Whether it's visible or not, whether anyone would sight it or not, that's not our problem. We just go by calculation. This is what going by calculations mean. And as I said, when we look into the hadith, we surely have a problem with this method of following the moon and following the calculation. Time is chasing us fast. I will go faster now on the other methods. The other three methods are based on moon sighting. But on the basis of moon sighting, we will take only local sighting. Number two, we will take international sighting anywhere in the world. Number three, we will take international sighting, quote unquote, based on Saudi Arabia or this country or that country. So we'll specify one or two countries that we are going to take it from. We are not going to take it from anywhere in the world, but we will call it international sighting. According to the hadith, we don't find any room for specifying a country and then rejecting all other countries. So we will go only with Saudi Arabia. Why? I asked this question many times in large conferences with so many imams, with educated people. I asked them, can you just tell us one hadith that would support this argument that we should follow just Saudi Arabia? So mostly you would hear the argument would be, oh, because Islam started from there, or because Prophet ﷺ was there, or because Islam came from Mecca, so we'll follow the sighting of Mecca. I don't know. If you look into the hadith, if you find any basis for this, and for sure not. If someone will take the same argument and will say, we will pray based on the timings of Saudi Arabia, because Islam came from there, because Prophet ﷺ was there, because Kaaba is there, because we turn our face to Mecca, so we are going to take our timing of the prayers also from Mecca. No, it's not going to work. Everyone will tell you very clearly that your sun is setting over here. Right now, the sun is setting, which everyone knows has to be time for Maghrib, but you're saying I'm going to pray Fajr because in Saudi Arabia it's time for Fajr. No one is going to accept that. So specifying a country, and especially like specifying Saudi Arabia, has no basis to it. So then we have two more methods. One is just local sighting, and local sighting, I don't mean just your own town, whatever boundaries you will set locally based on your understanding and the community's understanding, countries based, whatever. Or you take global sighting, which is anywhere in the world. When we look into the hadith, you find room for both of these opinions. Yes, we find room for both of these opinions, that you take it from anywhere in the world, or you set your own boundary and you say, we will take it from within this horizon. So we will take it from Canada, America. Okay, someone says, this is all we will do. That's all, by all means. There is room in the, right now, I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. I'm telling you what can be acceptable on the basis of the wordings of the hadith and what we learned from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. On the basis of the wordings of the hadith, no one can tell you that you are wrong. You cannot do this. Someone will say, we will take America, Canada, and we will extend our horizon to South America because we don't have too much clear visibility within our country. So we'll extend it. It's not that we are going to just pick and choose and we'll take, okay, some of us will take Pakistan, some of us will take India, some of us will take Bangladesh, some of us will take Saudi Arabia. No, it's not that. It's extending the horizon. So we will go further up to a point where horizon becomes more clear. If people do decide to do this, there is room for that in Sharia and it's acceptable. And people do decide to take it globally, anywhere in the world, and we will accept it, there is for sure room in the hadith on this. Both of these opinions are valid opinions based on the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, as I said, if we call it global and then we specify Saudi Arabia, no. If we call it global and we specify just one country out of the whole world and we are not going to accept it from any other country, we will only accept it from that country, no. Many years back, I have some good friends. We sit, alhamdulillah, on the same table, we eat, we drink, and we discuss these issues. So their opinion was, we will go global. And I knew that they call it global, but they mean Saudi Arabia only. So some years back, the moon was sighted in Libya. So I called them. I said, brother, Shaykh, Imam, whatever. I said, the moon have been sighted in Libya. So I'm assuming that you're studying your Ramadan tomorrow. He said, no, we are waiting. I said, waiting for what? He said, no, we are waiting. I said, I know what you're waiting for. You're waiting for Saudi Arabia's announcement. Libya went ahead and announced before Saudi Arabia, and you don't want to accept that announcement from Libya. In another year, we got a confirmation of moon sighting from the Muslims in Italy before Saudi Arabia. Again, I told the brothers, I said, you say that you're going with international, with global sighting. So global sighting, Italy is part of the global sighting. You should accept that. No, we are not going to accept this one. Another year, Iran announces it a day before Saudi Arabia. I tell the brothers, moon has been sighted in Iran. The government of Iran has announced, no, we don't go by that. Why you don't go by that? So claiming that it's a global sighting and then specifying one country, that's not right. If you want to go global, then go global, which means you get confirmation from anywhere in the world, you're going to accept it. It's fine. Sharia point of view, as I said, from the Sharia point of view, is perfectly fine. But practically, is not practical. If someone wants to do it, I will tell you. But practically, this is not possible. Why? As I said, I started with this. We have how many months in a year? 12, not 2. So every 12 months, how many countries in the world? About 200 countries, or little over 200 countries. Every month, collecting the data of 200 plus countries and doing it 12 times a year is a full job for every community. No one has time to do that. And no one is doing it up to this day. No one in the world is doing that. Not only no one in North America, no one in our communities, no one in the world is doing that they would try to collect the data of moon sighting from all around the world every month, 12 months a year. No one does that. We know ourselves. We don't do it. Let alone anyone else. Many people follow Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, if you call them today, call Saudi Arabia. Try it if you want. That we have sighted the moon in Canada. Ramadan Mubarak, Hajj Mubarak. They will tell you, keep your Ramadan to yourself, keep your Hajj to yourself, keep your Eid to yourself. We are not going to follow you. We will do it only if we sight in our country. If we don't sight in our country, we are not following no one else. We don't even follow the neighboring countries. We follow Saudi Arabia all the way from here to there, but they don't even follow their neighboring countries. And they will say, no, we have our own sighting. And if we sighted within our country, within our region that we have set, we are going to accept it. If it is not cited within the region that we have set for ourselves, we are not going to accept it. You want to do Ramadan, you want to do Eid, you don't want to do whatever you want to do, go ahead, do it, but we are not going to follow you. This is what their muftis are of the opinion, and they're very right. They're very right. They don't follow no one else. They just follow their own local sighting. That's it. They have set their own horizon of where they are going to go up to for sighting the moon. So, which means their own region. So they go within their region. If it is sighted within that region, then they will accept the sighting. If it is outside of the region, they say we have nothing to do with it. And there is a hadith in Sahih Muslim. Pay attention to this. There is hadith in Sahih Muslim. Rasulullah sallallahu this is during the time of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says that I sent Maymuna radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believer, his aunt. She sent Qurayb radiallahu anhu for some work to Syria. Muawiyah radiallahu anhu was the Khalifa of the Muslims. He was in Syria. He was situated in Syria. So they started the month of Ramadan on Friday. Qurayb radiallahu anhu, when he came back, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu asked Qurayb that when did you people started the month of Ramadan over there? So I told him that we started it on Friday. So I said, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said to him, we sighted the moon on Saturday, so we started the month on Saturday. So I said, but now I have already informed you that our Khalifa, that is Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, and all of us, we sighted the moon over there on Friday. So that means you people made a mistake. So you should end the month on 30 days based on our sighting. So Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said to me that no, we sighted it on Saturday, so we will continue according to our sighting. So I asked him specifically, I said, you don't accept our sighting and the sighting of Amir al-Mu'mineen, sighting of our Khalifa, of our ruler, sighting of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu and all the other Sahaba that were with him. You don't agree with this? You don't accept it? He said, no, it's not about that. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam didn't tell us to do that. This hadith is where? In Sahih Muslim. Maybe for some of us, we may be hearing it first time. So Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu is telling him, it's not about if the moon was really sighted or not. It's about our horizon. It's outside of our region that we have set for ourselves. And therefore, even if hundreds of Sahaba have seen it over there, it doesn't affect us. We go by our own region and by our own sighting. So we see this thing happening during the time of Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, and they are not fighting about it. They are not arguing about it. They are just respecting each other's opinion. Okay, you have set your own region. You go according to your region. You are the mufti of this region, and you set the region according to your understanding, and you put the boundaries according to your agreement between you, all of you. You follow that, and people over there, they will follow their sighting. Now, one question that really comes up and comes up very, very strong, that then what's going to happen during the time of Hajj? Say if 11 months a year, okay, we go by our local sighting, and we are different than Saudi Arabia. What's going to happen at the time of Hajj? Because we want to do Hajj with Saudi Arabia. Of course, if you are in Mecca, you are going to do Hajj in Makkah Mukarramah. So you will do Hajj based on the sighting of Saudi Arabia. But now we want to do our Eid al-Adha, based on the sighting of Makkah Mukarramah. This is where the problem would come. Why? Because we say when our Eid has to be the next day of Arafah. Our Eid has to be the next day of Arafah. I'm sure this is something that all of us will say, yes, that's true. This is what it's supposed to be. Is it something, again, based on our emotions, or something that we love to see, or something that is based on the proofs from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? In fact, when we look at the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we will find a hadith proving the opposite. How is that? Let's quickly look at it. When did Hajj start in Islam? When was the first time that Hajj was established in the history of Islam? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did his only Hajj in Islam in the 10th year of Hijrah. Agreed? Everyone agrees? 10th year of Hijrah. This is when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did his Hajj. And 3 months after that, he passed away. It was month of Dhul Hijjah. Then Muharram Safar, 12th of Rabi'ul Awal, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. So that was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's only Hajj in Islam. The year before that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu to do Hajj with the other Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. And the year before that, which means the 8th year of Hijrah, Makkah Mukarramah was conquered, and Sahaba that were in Makkah, they did their own Hajj over there in Makkah Mukarramah. So we can say from that point of view that the first time Hajj was done in Islam in the 8th year, and then 9th year, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu officially led the Hajj under the instructions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 10th year, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did Hajj himself, and he led the Hajj. Now, when did Eid start in Islam? Eid, I mean Eid al-Adha. When did Eid al-Adha and the sunnah of sacrificing the animal on the day of Eid started in Islam? Do we know this? It was during the 2nd year of Hijrah. So 2nd year of Hijrah. Take it from the 2nd year, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. All of these years, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in were having Salatul Eid on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. So they were having Salatul Eid. They were offering the sacrifice on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, but there was no concept of Hajj in Islam yet. There was no Islam. There was no Hajj in Islam. Hajj wasn't even fard in Islam yet. It became fard at that time. 6 years later, which is telling us no connection between people standing in Arafah over there and for us performing our Eid over here and sacrificing the animal here. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahaba were doing all of those years. They were performing these Salatul Eid. They were offering their sacrifices, and there was no Hajj at that time in Islam. So these are totally two different things. In fact, if you look at the reality of it, for those who perform Hajj up to this day, for those who perform Hajj, there is no Eid. For anyone who perform Eid, there is no Hajj. If you do Eid, there is no Hajj for you. If you do Hajj, there is no Eid for you. If you are in Mina, you will be performing Salatul Jum'ah, but you will not do Salatul Eid. There is no Eid. There is no Eid with Hajj. We are for some reason connecting these two things together. Islam disconnected them from each other. Islam tells us clearly that if you do Hajj, there is no Eid. If you are doing Eid, there is no Hajj. So I don't know where we are establishing that connection from. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I said, he was fasting on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. Every year, he was fasting on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah and is encouraging the Sahaba to fast on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. Based on what? Based on local sighting of Medina Munawwara, without even having Hajj in Islam. So there is no connection between the two. For some reason, we are trying to establish a connection with something that was not connected by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, it was kept totally two separate elements. And this is why Eid al-Adha and sacrificing of on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah and fasting on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah started from the 2nd year of Islam and of the Hijrah, and Hajj was performed, as I said, the first time officially it was performed 9th year, and then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed it on the 10th year, and there was no connection between Hajj, between that Hajj in Makkah Mukarramah and between Sahaba fasting on the 9th of Arafah, 9th of Dhul Hijjah, which is called the day of Arafah, and offering the sacrifice and performing Salatul Eid on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. There was no connection between the two. So hopefully this summary is clear enough to understand the topic. Just have a general understanding. I'm not saying we will go we cover all the details of it, but the general understanding of it, that from the Sharia point of view, very quick overview. From the Sharia point of view, the months are lunar months, and the lunar months are based on the sighting of the month of the moon, not on the birth of the moon. And number two, then how do we calculate? How do we know the beginning of the month? We know that is based on the sighting, so it's not based on calculation. Number one. Number two, it will be now when it comes to sighting, is it local or global? As I said, wordings from the Sharia, they allow both of us, but global is not practical for many reasons. And one of the main reasons would be that having collecting the data 12 months a year and from 200 countries, over 200 countries, is not something that is doable right now, and no one is doing it. Even the countries that we are following sometime, that maybe Saudi Arabia or some other country, they don't go by global sighting. They go by their own local sighting. If we will cite it before them, they will reject us. So if we say we are going to follow Saudi Arabia only, say even if in the Hijjah, let me give you just an example of it. That say if the month of the Hijjah now is about to start, and 29th of Zilqa'dah, we sighted the moon. 29th of Zilqa'dah, we sighted the moon. And we call Saudi Arabia that Hajj Mubarak, we have sighted the moon. They will tell us, keep your Hajj to you. We haven't sighted the moon, so we are going to complete our month, 30 days. So now for sure we will be studying the month of Zulqa'dah a day before them, because we sighted the moon. They didn't sight the moon, and they don't go with our sighting. So they are not going to accept our sighting. So they will be a day later. What are we going to do? Are we going to say, no, we are going to just go by Hajj over there, and even though we sighted the moon, we are going to pretend we didn't see it, and we will start our month a day later? Or are we going to follow our sighting, which is very, very clear that we are going to go by our sighting? So this is the way of following the moon sighting, that we set the horizon and we set the region for how far we want. Is nothing to fight about. With all of this information, please keep this in mind. This is not something that we argue about, that we fight about. And let me just end, since this thing came up, let me end just with this quick note, that every year at the time of beginning of Ramadan, then Eid, then at the time of Eid al-Adha at Dhul Hijjah, brother, we have to be united. Let me tell you one thing. Unity is not to perform Salatul Eid on the same day. Even if we perform Salatul Eid on the same day with the whole world, which is not going to happen, but if, say, for the argument's sake, even if we did it, this is not unity. Unity is we love each other, we respect each other, and that unity will be if we are together throughout the year. Eid and Ramadan is a sign of unity, is not unity. Is a sign of unity. If we are united throughout the year, we will be united on the Eids also. But if we backbite each other throughout the year, we run away from each other throughout the year, we turn our faces away from each other throughout the year, and then we say, if we are going to have Eid on the same day, then we are united. That's a fake unity. That's not the unity that Sharia teaches us. The unity that Sharia wants us to have is that we all love each other. We respect each other. Even if we differ in opinions, even if you pray your Fajr at 5 o'clock and I pray at 6 o'clock, as long as within the time, and Sharia gives me that room of praying up to 7 o'clock, and someone is praying 7 o'clock, I'm praying 6 o'clock. I don't look down at you because you're praying at 5. I don't look down at others because they're praying at 7. I respect all of you. This is unity. I don't backbite you. I don't hurt you. I don't try to argue with you. This is unity. But if we have Eid on the same day, and we are the same people that have been talking against each other, that have been stabbing each other on our backs, on each other's back, this is not really unity. So if we really want unity, then keep us together. Stay with your masjid. Be connected to the masjid throughout the year. Throughout the year, on the day of Eid, you will be connected to your masjid. You will be united with your masjid. You don't have to be united with Pakistan, you don't have to be united with India, and you don't have to be united with Iran and with Saudi Arabia. Be united with your local masjid. This is the unity, that every masjid is be united together within their community. This is, we are enough. We are, alhamdulillah, we are happy with that. That stay together with your community. That will happen if we stay together throughout the year. But if we just try to come to for Eid and for Ramadan, and then we just argue about moon sighting, is not going to unite us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the true unity. May Allah keep us united. And with this, inshallah, if there are some quick questions, we can take some questions, inshallah, based on what was said. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand and to practice. And once again, just a quick reminder that we take every issue of Sharia, issue that is based on Sharia, we take it from the academic point of view. We take the ayat, we take the hadith, we take what's mentioned in the books by the scholars of Islam throughout the last 1400 years, how things were practiced, and then we sit and we try to understand the point. That's it. It's very, very easy and clear. There is no reason for us to fight and argue and curse at each other, and sometimes even goes to physical physically attacking each other. There is no reason for that. Sharia is very clear. We need to do is sit together and study it. That will bring us together, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ameen ya rabbil alameen. Can we base the moon sighting on the telescopic sighting, or it has to be with the naked eye? One of the things that we find Sharia is doing through keeping it with the naked eye is that allowing every person to take part in the sighting of the moon. If we just go by the telescopes, then we are giving it to only 2-3 people in every country. There will be only 2-3 people that will be able to sight it, because only observatories have those type of telescopes that can sight the moon, and they know exactly where it is, they know the location of it. So even when it's not visible, they can even see during the daytime with those telescopes. So Sharia is based on being able to sight with our naked eyes. So if it's not only with the telescope, because then our month will go in the hands of only 2-3 people in every country. And Sharia is keeping it open for every person to be able to take part of it in it. Any other question? I Did you join late, or I wasn't too clear about it? Because I think I mentioned that at the very beginning, that when it comes to calculation, when we look at the hadith, it's maybe if you were not there at the beginning, you can listen to that. If I don't know if it is recorded or not, but anyway, you can go back to that inshallah later on. That I was very clear that calculation is not something that Sharia will approve of. In the light of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we don't see any room for it. As the hadith is very clear that inna ummatun ummiyatun la naktubu wa la nahsub. He said it about sighting the moon, about calculation of the moon. He said we don't do calculation, and we don't start our month based on calculation, because Jews of that time, this is what they used to do. They used to go by calculations. In fact, when I searched this topic, and I found the Jewish calendar going even before the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before the time of Isa alayhi salam. If you may, that if this may surprise you, that even before the time of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, there is those calendars do exist, and that we know, we have a data that's telling us that this information was available at that time. They were exact with their calculations even in those days. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was told about Jews are going by lunar month, and but rather than sighting the moon, they are going by calculations, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we are not going to do that. Of course, going to the east of our east will make more sense for sure, because their sunset will be later than us, and moon will stay in the horizon longer than us. So if our moon will set at 8 o'clock, their moon will set about 8:15, 8:20. It depends on how far you go. 8:30, maybe the moon is over there even up to 9 o'clock. And for example, when we go to South American countries, if you look towards the countries in South America, their Maghrib is before us. This is amazing part of it, because their Maghrib is before us. And so that means their sunset is before us. And they are more towards east. So therefore, the moon stays longer over there. And their horizon is mostly clear. Visibility is mostly clear. So those people, one of those countries, generally, if it is there, they would sight it. So of course, it will make sense for us to go that side rather than going towards Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia's sun will set 6, 7 hours before us. Before us, the moon was 7 hours smaller at that time, so they have less chance of sighting it. In fact, if we sight it, then that simply means it was there, but they could not sight it over there. So, and let's put it the other way. If they sight it, if they Saudi Arabia sight the moon, we should be able to sight it for sure. We should be able to sight the moon for sure if they sight it, because it's 7, 8 hours later. So it's for sure up there. So, but I don't want to go into the details of, do we really sight it after they sight it or not? Sometime after their sighting, when it comes to our horizon, the moon, the science tells us that the moon is not even there yet. Any other question? Okay, so I think we are all okay with this basic information, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us united. Okay, there is one more. The question is that the Hilal committees of Canada, they started Ramadan a day after the Hilal committees of USA. So, and what was the reason? Let me quickly also go over the reason for that also, because Canadian Hilal committees many years back decided that they will not take California into their horizon, into their region of sighting the moon. So, because California is 3 hours after us. So every year, then you have to wait after Maghrib, you have to wait 3 more hours for California to side. And then once the sun is set, then they take all the confirmations, and then they collect the data, and then they make their decisions. So it's about 4 to 5 hours before we get the confirmation from California after our Maghrib, which means almost you're waiting till Fajr, or just an hour or two before Fajr, before we get the confirmation from California. So the Hilal committees of Canada decided they're not going to accept California as part of our region of sighting the moon, but they do take the South American continent, because they are within our time region. So they are within our time. So they go by their time zone rather than taking California, which is 3 hours later. So anyway, for that reason, the Hilal committees of America, they waited for California, and it was cited over there. So they took the citing, and the Hilal committees of Canada, they closed the chapter after it wasn't cited within our horizon, our region, and they said it's not cited. So now Canada started a day later after America. In case if USA they do sight the moon on 29th, which is not possible, is not going to happen, but you always have some people who keep moon in their pockets or in their homes, I think. So anyway, so if it, for argument's sake, if it does happen and someone did sight the moon over there, can we end our month in 28 days? No. The only reason you will be allowed, or we will be allowed to end a month in 28 days if we have made a mistake at the beginning of the month. But if within our horizon we didn't make a mistake, so then let them have their Eid. We will do our Eid the next day. So we will do the Eid after, because there is no month less than 29 days according to Sharia. If we finish the month in 28 days, that simply means we made a mistake at the beginning. Possibilities are there. Someone can make a mistake. And if we did make a mistake, say if within our horizon, moon was sighted in 28 days, which is possible, of course, anytime of the year. So then we will have to go back and tell people that our beginning was wrong. So we'll have to make up after Eid, we have to make up for one day. But in this situation that we are looking at now, within our horizon is not going to be sighted. Even over there is not going to be sighted. Saudi Arabia didn't sight it today. So they are completing their 30 days. So most probably this is how the whole world is going to be this year, that they will have Eid on Sunday. Okay, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Before I just leave you, you know, as far as having our horizon set and going by our horizon, just for the information's sake, I'm going to share this piece of information with everyone, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he performed Hajj, that was the 10th year of the Hijjah, the 10th of the 10th year of Hijrah, 10th year of Hijrah, and of course the Eid is on the 10th of the Hijjah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the year he performed Hajj, that year the sighting of Mecca was different from the sighting of Medina. The sighting of Mecca was different from the sighting of Medina. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away on what day? What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam pass away? 12th of Rabiul Awwal. What day was it? Monday. Monday, 12th of Rabiul Awwal. This is when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. That was based on the sighting of Medina. And when he was doing Hajj, 9th of Zul Hijjah was on Friday. That was based on the sighting of Makkah Mukarramah. There was difference in sighting that year in Hajj between Makkah and Medina. The people of Makkah followed the sighting of Makkah. The people of Medina followed the sighting of Medina. This is just a piece of information for us to keep with us also. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.